Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's Barba223 back with another video. So today, we're gonna be doing a Magic Arcanist PVP build. This is a build I've been testing out for a while. If you want to see gameplay of this build, check out my past stream. It has a ton of gameplay on there. I think I streamed for a couple hours, played some BGs. You can check it out for yourself. But it is a dot build, as said in the title. It is a dot build. All right, the dot damage is ridiculous. Mainly because Arcanist gets a ton of boost from it. My flame staff gets a ton of boost from it. There's a lot of things that you can do with this, so make sure you like, comment, subscribe. If you want to be featured on that overlay on the left side of your screen right now, make sure you hit me with a subscribe. Make sure you hit me with a follow. Maybe you'll get featured on the next one as my most recent sub. Thank you for your support. Let's get into it. Today we're going to be doing Magic Arcanist, like I said. We're chilling at 21,000 magic, which is plenty because we get a ridiculous amount of recovery. We got 35,000 health, which is good. We got 20k stam, which, to be honest with you, a little bit overkill. Don't necessarily need that much stamina, but I mean, it's nice to be able to roll dodge and all that. So, I mean, that's nice. We got 800 mag recovery on the one bar. We got way more on the other bar, and that's before pots and before our sets proc. So we'll get a lot more recovery. We got 800 stam recovery, and the same rule applies as what I just said. We'll get a lot more. Spell damage, we're chilling at 4,800 unbuffed. That goes a lot higher with the Berserker glyph. Goes higher with a couple sets, so it can get higher than this. It does get up to, I don't know, let's say, because it gets well over 5. It is very good. We're chilling at 12% crit, which this isn't a crit based build. Yes, Arcanist gets 12% crit damage. That's fine, right? Because when you do hit a crit, it's still going to do a lot more damage. But I'm not worried about the crits. This is a dot build. So, yeah. We have 9,000 penetration before our major breach and our minor breach. So that's going to get well over, what, 9k plus almost 10k. So we get like 20k pen. That really works out well. You get almost 20k pen, give or take 18, 19, 20. The resistances, so we're chilling at 29 and 30, and then we're chilling at 26 and a half and 26. So we do get a lot more based on this skill right here. You get minor protection, then you get the minor protection consumed, and then you gain burst heal, and then you get 3,000 armor anyways, so you're always going to be having that big armor buff. You get a ton of armor on this build. So we got a lot of resistance. We get over 30k, which is basically my threshold where I try to be, so I'm not too stressed about that. But those are the stats. Chilling at 8% crit damage for our Arcanist proc, so not bad. So we are using Bewitched. You can use whatever food you want. That's up to you. I like Bewitched for the max stat because we already get a ton of recovery anyways, so that's why I use it. I'm using the Apprentice Mundstone. Again, feel free to use whatever you want, whether it's Atronach, the Apprentice, Age, doesn't matter. Whatever you want. Here's the gear. Front bar, using a broken set. Not really. It's kind of slept on, to be honest with you. This Inferno Staff of Sharpens the Stain. Alright, the reason this set is so good, why, is because you get stamina, health, magic, so you get all the stats, which is nice. And then any status effect you apply, 16%, or not a 16%, 16-second duration increase. Sorry, my English clearly ain't working today. You get a 16-second increase on your status effects. This build is based around status effects. So we have a sharpened Inferno Staff. Now, why do we have an Inferno Staff? Well, let me educate you real quick if you don't know. Number one, you have to have elemental susceptibility. This skill is going to carry the build and going to give us a lot. But the reason we have an Inferno Staff is, one, because we can apply that flame damage over 20 seconds with the heavies, which is beautiful because it buffs our damage that we're using. But here's what we're using it for. Inferno Staffs increase your damage done with damage over time and status effects by 12%. Get to 12%. And then you also, if you go into Arcanist passives, you increase your damage dealt by status effects by 15%. and status effect chance by 75, right? So you're doing a ton, almost 30% extra damage on status effects, and you get a higher chance. You're getting like a mini charged in there, in your passes alone. So that's really beautiful. Very, very clutch. That helps us out a ton with damage. You have to use a poison glyph. All right, make sure you're using a poison glyph. The reason I say that is because your poison is a dot glyph. It's one of the only dots one of the only glyphs in the game that does a dot. It's gonna last for much longer. Don't use a flame one because you're already going to be applying flame anyways, whether it's your heavy attack, which is a unique flame damage, or you could use your force pulse or your elemental susceptibility to apply flame. Don't use flame, you're going to waste a dot. And use poison. You'll apply the poison constantly with this set, trust me. And once you do apply it, it ain't coming off, right? And the cooldown for these status effects, they don't apply from person to person, right? So you could put all these status effects on one person, and then you can apply it to a guy next to him, and then you can apply it to the guy next to him, and then you can, it never ends, right? So you can spam elemental susceptibility, force pulls, and get poison and all that on everybody. So very, very good set. Must use poison. I use sharpen because penetration is the wave. I was going to use charge, but I'm not getting anything out of the charge. If I was on a warden, I'd think about it, but there's no point. Charge isn't as good as sharpen in most builds. So sharpen's the wave here. So yeah, 16% status effects. Or 16-second status effect, sorry. So that's really, really good. On the back bar, we're using Retro Vitality. So Retro Vitality, Resto Staff. Retro Vitality is a bread and butter set for everybody on Earth. It is what it is. This set's just broken. Like, I feel like without it, you kind of have, like, Arcanist is expensive. So I'll show you the skills in a minute, but skills that I'm using are kind of expensive. So I'm using Retro Vitality to kind of make up for that, which is fine. I mean, a great set. Like, yeah, I kind of try to not use all the meta stuff, but sometimes you kind of just have to. It is what it is. But what does Wretched do? Well, we're using a defending Resto Staff, Resto Heavies for magic and for healing, and a Berserker Glyph, so I'm getting the defending is nice. So we have recovery, spell damage, while in combat, applying a major buff or debuff, which is basically anything, so your armor buff or your minor protection or whatever it may be. You're going to get 260 magic and stand recovery, and then applying a debuff to a target, which you're always doing, susceptibility or whatever it may be. You're going to be granted 130 magic recovery for 15 seconds. So this is easy to proc. It'll proc all the time. Another good way to proc it is just your armor ability itself. So on your back bar right here, when your armor persists, taking damage applies minor breach, reducing the armor of your attacker. Boom. That's how it procs. So easy. Applying something to yourself, done. Applying something to your enemy, done. So it's easy. That is our back bar. So our monster set is Engine Guardian. Call me sweaty, I don't care. Engine Guardian is so good. Gives you health recovery, which is ugly, but have to make some kind of sacrifice, I guess. But we have when you use an ability that consumes resources, you have a 25% chance to summon a Dwemer Automaton that restores 500 magic or stam and 2,000 health every 0.5 seconds for 6 seconds. And this can occur every 10 seconds, so it has a 4-second downtime. That's good. I mean, 4 seconds is nothing, like really nothing. And the good thing about Engine Guardian is that it absorbs damage. I think it's a little OP. To be honest with you, I feel like, I don't know if this was a thing back in the day, but I know that nothing pisses me off more than when I use an alt or something like that and I hit someone's Engine Guardian. That drives me freaking insane. Or I have to sit there and bash someone's Engine Guardian over. Like, it's just pissing me off. And so it's just annoying to deal with, especially on Arcanist, which has a ton of damage shields as it is. So, like, you're already hard to do damage to in the first place, and then you have an Engine Guardian blocking a bunch of damage. It's just a pain in the butt to deal with. So I know for a fact that it's annoying. So we have a heavy helm. It's infused with a triglyph or multi effect, whatever you want to call it. Ideally, reinforce is probably better, but it is what it is. I like the infuse. You get a little bit extra stats, so I'm okay with it. Ideally, you want heavy and heavy, but in this case, I have heavy and medium, which I have a medium shoulder, which is fine. It's not a big deal. I'd rather go reinforce or something like that, but it's okay. All right, so we have a medium chest of Serpent Sustain. Now, in an ideal world, you'd have a heavy chest, and then you could have medium somewhere else, but it's not that big of a deal. I mean, you're losing. What are you losing? I mean, you're losing 600 armor from medium up to heavy. So, yeah, it sucks. But at the same time, you're also gaining something here in the medium armor passive. All right, so you're gaining crit damage, you're gaining spell damage, and you're gaining movement speed and reduce the cost of roll dodge. So you are gaining a decent amount of stuff here. Like, it's not necessarily a bad thing. Honestly, it's really not. And also, you're reducing the AoE damage you take by 2%. So the trade-off isn't that bad. Like, to be honest, you're not really losing that much. If anything, like, it's good. It really does work. I would still like reinforce. Alright, so we have a Belt of Serpent Sustain. Just ignore the blue. It is what it is. Glove of Trainee, ignore the training. Like, this build is still so good and it's not even totally optimized yet. So once it is optimized, it's going to hit different, I'm telling you. We have Heavy, Wretched, and Serpent Sustain again. I'm fine with the medium. It's not a big deal. But make sure you get one of each. So if you get the, even if it's 3, 4-1-1 or whatever, 5-1-1 or whatever you may want to use, it's fine. 4-2-1, whatever. Whatever your preference is, use that. But at the end of the day, you want to get heavy legs, heavy chest, maybe heavy helm, and then you're kind of set. You can go reinforce on the heavy and then well fitted or impen on the other one. So it's up to you. So on the jewelry, we have Wretched again. We're using Bloodthirsty with a spell damage glyph. Then we're using the same thing, Bloodthirsty with a spell damage glyph. Lastly, we're using the Ring of Majesty with Bloodthirsty again. Alright, so all Bloodthirsty here, so you can finish people off a lot. You're getting 350 extra spell damage at low health. You're getting essentially 1,000 spell damage when people are at low health. Like, well, easy choice. The marking's really good. Getting 200 weapon damage, 2,300 armor. Is it the best mythic on Earth? I don't know, but I know it's probably the most solid and most consistent. Like, just easy to use. Throw on 2 sets, you have a decent amount of armor and a decent amount of spell damage. So, to me, it's a no-brainer. So that is the gear. If you have any objections, let me know. If you like it, let me know. If you don't like it, let me know. Alright, so let's get into these skills. So on the front bar, we're using Recuperative Treatise. Interesting name, but also a very good ability. It's going to buff one of your abilities every 5 seconds to do an extra 4k damage. I like to compare it almost like a every 5-second crystal weapon type thing a little bit. Like, I don't know how to, like, weapon buffs their next light attack or whatever, this buffs your next ability. So another way to compare it is to the Way of Fire. The Way of Fire does what? About 2,600 damage every 2 seconds. This does 4,100 every 5 seconds. So does it do the same as the Way of Fire? No, but it's like a mini built-in Way of Fire that lasts 30 seconds. So it's a give and take. And you get a lot for having it slotted as well. You get penetration. So that's really nice. That helps you out a ton. And then on top of that, you're getting 600 magic back. I'm sorry, you're getting 600 magic and stamina back and generating a crooks every single time that this proc. So, like, to be honest with you, that's really good. And I believe there's a passive in here that will tell you another buff. When you restore magic or stamina, you increase your weapon and spell damage by 5%. So you get another 5%. Just for having this work, that's why I use this morph. If you use the other morph that procs more often, you don't get the magic and stand back, which is whatever, but you're missing out on 5% weapon damage and a little bit of sustain on top of that. So I would suggest using this morph so you can get that 5% weapon and spell damage, and you get the extra sustain too. So this also is your major sorcery buff, just for having it slotted. The next we are using Elemental Susceptibility. This skill is what carries the build, kind of. You light attack into this and you'll probably apply your poison along with this, so you'll get burning, chilled, concussed, and poison all at the same time. And then when you use your other skills, you might even get magic, so that's really good. You can even get magic steal in this build by doing magic damage. But this skill is amazing. It's free. It's major breach, 1,000 penetration, applies all 3 of the status effects, and they last for 30 seconds plus another 16, lasting for 46 seconds, which is kind of ridiculous. So this is like 100% uptime. You're basically getting 100% uptime on a burning, poison, chilled, and concuss status effect that do 30% extra damage. Think about that. 30% extra damage on all these procs or all these status effects that never go away. It's a lot. I see this tick for, I honestly, like, if I'm being completely honest, I've seen it tick for, like, all of them kind of tick. They all tick in the same sequence. When they all tick in a row, it's doing like 3K. Like, no joke. It's doing a ridiculous amount of damage. Like, I see each individual one doing like 500, which is canny. Like, that's not even fair. Here we're using Fulminating Rune. Now, that's just another dot added on. That's just adding insult to injury, to be honest with you. Like, on top of it, it does burst damage. Like, it's just ridiculous how much utility and damage that the Arcanist class have. I mean, on top of it, you're getting penetration just from having this slotted. And then you can also have a teammate use a synergy on it. So it's a little OP, in my opinion, but it is a very, very good skill. And you kind of have to have it because you're doing dot damage. And then in that time, you're building up a big detonation that does AoE. Like, it's just really, really good. So very, very, very good skill. It does dot damage. It is an AoE dot too. So very, very nice. Here using Pragmatic Fate Carver, again, another broken skill. You will generate Crooks just by playing. Like, you use a skill, you generate a Crooks. You get hit with your armor, you generate a Crooks. You use a heal, you generate a Crooks. Like, there's a ton of ways to generate Crooks, so you don't necessarily have to use Rune Blades here. Good, but Fate Carver is amazing skill. Now, ideally, what you want to do is build up 3 Crookses. Use your stun, which Rune of Colorless Pull, and then hit them with the, which is Fate Carver. So that's an ideal world. Force Pulls are spammable. Now, do I want to use Force Pulls? Yes, but at the same time, I kind of don't. Like, Rune Blades is another choice. Now, if you use Rune Blades, you're going to gain an extra 600, gain an extra 900 penetration. So that's a big give and take here. So if you use Rune Blades, you're sitting at 9,800 pen before your penetration. If you use Force Pulls, sitting at 88, so you're losing 1,000. That's up to you. Whatever. I think Force Pulls is easier to use. It is a big AoE. Like, it does AoE damage 8,500 to people around it. Like, anyone's equipped with a status effect, so it's gonna do a ton of damage. Now, Rune Blades is nice because it generates Crookses and all that, but I think Force Pulls is giving more util overall, so that's why I use Force Pulls. And it applies the Flame, Frost, and Shock damage on top of it over, and it's going to apply that too because we get a built-in charge in our passive, so it's very good. Here we do Tides King Gauge. You want to try to use this in a big group. It does AoE, dot damage. It follows people around. It's very, very good. Use it with your stun. Here we're using Crooks Weaver Armor. I'll go faster. I apologize. Major Resolve. Minor Protection. Or I'm sorry, not Minor Protection. Minor Breach when someone attacks you. It also generates a Crook, so very, very good. Here we're using the Rune of Colorless Pull. If you want to use the other morph, feel free. You get Minor Vulnerability and Vulnerability, so you get another 10% crit damage, and you do 5% more flat damage, so that's another 5% added onto your dots. So if you stun someone, you do 5% more dot damage, so you do 12, you do the, they do extra 18 from Staff and Arcanist, and then you do another 5 from this, so you're getting 36% extra dot damage, so very, very good. Its ability can't be dodged. It can be blocked, but it can't be dodged, so if someone's dodging, you hit them with this, they're done for. Here we're using Impervious Rune Ward. Must have skill. It's a huge damage shield. It's a huge heal. It consumes Crookses. Retaliates. It's a ridiculous skill. Let's be honest here. It's stupid. Alright, here we're using Evolving Rune Mend. This is just our burst heal. It also generates a Crooks. It also reduces the cost of the ability when you have a Crooks. So very, very good. I want to say heal. How many runes do you heal? Forget how many. 3 or 4. It does 3,800 apiece, so I can test. 1, 2, 3. So let's say 4k a pop. So it's doing about 12k non-crit, which is very nice. Here we're using Rune Guard of Freedom. In my opinion, hot take, this is the best skill in the game. Call me crazy. It is. It's the best skill in the game. You get Minor Resolve, so you get basically what Vigor gives you, but you can use Vigor, but I think this is better. You get Vigor, or you get Vigor's Minor Resolve. You gain Minor Protection, so you get Minor Resolve and Minor Protection, 5% damage mitigation. Then, when you're damaged under 50% health, the Minor Protection goes away, so you keep the 3,000 armor, but you lose the 5% mitigation, which is fine, because then you're consuming it to heal for 11k. 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 If you're at 60% health, you pop this procs, you're at full health. Done. Easy. And then you use a shield, and no one's killing you. Done. I'm telling you, the best skill in the game. You get that huge heal, so you get a burst heal. And then you gain 3,000 armor on top of that, so you're getting 6,000 armor just from this ability. To put that in perspective, if I'm not mistaken, Gaze of Sith, this gives 3,000. So, and then you get crowd control immunity for 6 seconds, and then you can get the immunity every 30 seconds, but the heal doesn't have a cooldown. Right, so the crowd control thing will save your life, I promise, but the heal has no cooldown, right? So if you're sitting at 60, you drop under 60 and it procs, and then you get back up to 70, and then you get hit again, get under 50 again, boom, it works again. So it's just a burst heal over and over. It's like a get out of jail free card because it heals you when you're low, so you don't go into that execution range. Also, I forgot to note, I am not Vamp on this build. You can go Vamp if you want. Here we're using Sanctum of the Abyssal Sea. It does a lot of damage mitigation, 60% of all damage. And then it also retaliates with some damage, I believe. So very, very good. Yeah. Very, very good. This is what we run. If you want to use the rest of all free, I don't care for it. Alright, champion points real quick. These aren't the best in slot, I don't think, but what I use. Master at Arms, Deadly Aim, Budding Aura, Untamed Aggression. Bastion, Change Refuge, Juggernaut, Hardened. Alright, that's what I use. Whatever. Also, I'm an Orc, if I did not tell you that already. The reason I like Orc is because of the movement speed and the health. Movement speed is nice though, reduces cost of sprint by 12, and the movement speed bonus is 10 by 10. So as you can see, my sprint is very, very cheap. I have a lot of stamina, which is kind of life-saving, to be honest with you, but I can sprint for days. And I also get, I want to say, 12% movement speed, as it is with armor. We get 12% movement speed with medium armor and sprint, so we get the 10%, and then we get 12, so we get 20, almost major expedition just from sprinting, and then we get a ton of dodge ability because we have 20k stam. So having a lot of stam is never a bad. So let's just pop a potion to show you my recovery. 1900 before, wretched, which gets up to like 2700 recovery. Smacking, popping, amazing build. Let me know what you think. If you want to see gameplay, check out my past stream. It's on my channel already. That is pretty much all I got for y'all today. Thank you for tuning in. Peace out.